Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Cassie Burkich with Burkich Design Group, where we do small business logo, branding packages, website design and development, along with marketing consultations and calendars, all for our lovely small businesses that we work with. We are going to be talking simplifying social media today with Jolene Atkins, our social media maven at Burkich Design Group. We want to make this easy for you. We want to make it approachable. We want to give you the social media 101, how not to fail. We want to tell you the easiest thing to start with and the quick to-do list for items that you can accomplish every day on social media without going so far above and beyond that you just feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. So let's turn it over to Jolene, and she's going to walk us through. Thanks, everyone.
So I'm Jolene, and I am the social media maven, is what I call myself, for BDG. And I'm also a social media enthusiast who follows a lot of experts. And I know that sounds odd to say because you're here because you want to learn about social media. So maybe you're expecting me to come right out and say, I am the expert. You know what? I just love social media. I fell into social media when I was building another business, and I built it completely on social media. And often I learned how to manage social media the hard way by learning maybe what not to do along with the what to do's. And through that process, I fell into following some pretty specific experts that maybe when we send you an email back, I should share some of these folks with you that I follow in order to impart what they are researching and learning onto our clients. So I'm an enthusiast, and I'm one of those people who you may roll your eyes at because I actually like the social media space. Much of my discovery of social media, how to manage social media, wasn't through like endless researching and reading up how to run it, but actually just showing up consistently, learning through my own testing and tracking of the posts that I put out there, and learning myself what was working for my business specifically and what wasn't. And I think that's really important, that this process of figuring out how social media works for you has to be for you. So, for example, what I do for a pottery studio looks very different than what I do for Burkich Design Group. So there's no one way. And today's workshop is kind of going to be like, it's almost akin to, I'm a new yoga person. So it's almost akin to you beginning yoga for the first time in your life. And you're just going to sit on the mat and you're going to learn how to breathe and know you're not going to go into a handstand on day one. I'm also a fitness professional, and I would never have a new person just jump into an hour-long intense cardio class without a warm-up or without even being able to walk for 10 minutes. So what I want to do today is give you some steps just to be consistent and to connect with folks on social media, rather than going into all of the rigmarole and the weeds that you may trip on while you're in the social media space and you're watching what other people are doing. So think of yourself, even if you're not, think of yourself as a beginner, and know that today we're going to talk a lot about mindset and consistency and connection. This is designed specifically for busy business owners who do not have the time to be the expert on social media, and nor should you, because you should be an expert in your industry, right? And you don't need to spend the time becoming a total expert in social media at the same time, because you simply don't have the time to do that. And I realize, and I'm actually very impressed and kind of taken with small business owners, because there is so much that you actually do on a daily basis that I'm just sitting back and watching. And so, like, kudos to you. But I'm hoping today that I can relieve a little bit of the pressure and the aggravation and the anxiety around the social media space, knowing that you might feel that pressure and anxiety to be showing up there all the time and to be the expert. And I just want to lower that pressure and let you know that you don't have to be the expert. And hopefully what we set up for you today, the blueprint that I share with you, you'll be able to look at and go, I can actually do that. I can be successful at that without pouring all of the energy that I have into it, because my energy has to be spent on actually running my business. I found that once I discovered how to make it fun, I began to create content that was relevant, again, for my business. And what I was offering was actually connecting with the people who were following me and supporting me. And I didn't have to obsessively focus on it anymore. I didn't have to worry about what are my analytics and should I be doing reels all the time and how do I make a carousel and all of these things that are important. But the first thing I needed to do was have fun with it and simply show up in the space. So before we head in, I think it's important for you to know, and this also comes from me being a fitness professional, that if you're looking for someone to tell you exactly what you should or should not do, that is not me. And if you're looking for someone who can tell you exactly what you need to change, what you need to try, that is not me either. There's a lot of people out there who are going to say to you, this is what you should do. But go back to my example of doing social media for a pottery studio and doing social media for a graphic design studio. They cannot look the same. They absolutely cannot look the same. They're going to have to be unique to those spaces. So I really want to encourage you to do what I did in the beginning and just kind of try, see what works, see what doesn't work. And then off of that, you'll be able to build a stronger and even more entertaining and fun social media space for yourself. You know, ultimately, whether a post does well is based on data, and it's ever changing data. Seriously, 2 months ago, at the end of 2022, reels were the thing. You had to do reels. You absolutely had to do reels. Well, you know what? As of last week, carousels are the thing for most of you who don't like to do video. So it's always changing. And one of the things I think is important is that if you're following experts who are actually testing out all of this information, they will keep you up to speed on this stuff rather than you having to find it for yourself. So again, so much changing data. The algorithm changes with the seasons and with the wind, and there's never going to be a definite way to approach social media. So for people who tell you in the fitness world or nutrition world, you must do this. No. In the social media world, you must do this. No. It really comes with trial and error. So hopefully I can get you to a place where you actually like the trial and error. Today, we're going to be working on becoming conveniently consistent. I kind of coined that phrase last week with my family, and they were like, conveniently consistent. Yeah, I want this to be convenient for you, and I want you to be consistent. And we don't want you to become, obsessed with how do I write a hook? Do I need keywords? Do I need hashtags? Do I need call to actions? How do I drive engagement? That can all come later. But first, let's just get you to the party, right? Let's just walk through the front door and show up on your social media space a little bit more consistently than you are now. So I know that was a long introduction, but I really think it provides a little bit of background about me, about how I work, and really just the philosophy around social media that I tend to use with all of my clients. So we're first going to talk about mindset because nobody ever talks about mindset around social media. And these are all phrases and statements that I've actually heard from people, from small business owners like yourself. And maybe you see yourself in one of these, and maybe you don't, or maybe there's one I haven't added that you've said, but let's look at it for a minute. So I don't have time to do social media. No, you don't. I mean, like, again, utter respect to the small business owner. So for someone like myself who can spend an hour or 2 hours on social media a day, that's my job. For you, I'm hoping that we can get you to a place where maybe even just 20, 30 minutes a day. And I think you can with the blueprint that we're going to give you at the end. So what if, thinking all or nothing, you thought to yourself, okay, I think I can give 30 minutes. If you tell me exactly some things that I should maybe take a look at every day, we have that for you. The second one, I'm not an expert in social media. I have covered this. You don't have to be. You shouldn't be. You should be an expert in your industry and in your business, and let the social media experts be experts, and then just learn from them and follow them. Let them do the research. Let them figure it out. Again, it changes almost daily, so you'd never be able to keep up with it. And also, you have to tailor your social media to your business. So what's applicable for one is not applicable for somebody else. There are too many platforms to learn and use. Choose one. Just choose one that you can apply what we're going to give you. Today, I'll focus a little bit more on Instagram, but you get 2 for 1 for Instagram. Like if you've got a Facebook business page, you click, it goes to both. So I would tell you to just choose one. You don't have to be on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You don't have to do them all. So hopefully that relieves a little bit of pressure for you. I shouldn't need to do social media to market my business. Well, the world has gone digital. Social media definitely should not be your entire marketing plan because you don't own it. And I can tell you stories of businesses who have lost their pages when Instagram went down at the beginning of last year. They went down for an entire day. I know folks who didn't retain their pages and had to start over. So that's where I shift into, I do hope you have a website that you own and a mailing list. So just know that digital marketing is a free way for you to market social media specifically, but don't have all your eggs in that basket. My friends and current customers aren't on social media, but new ones are. There are new people that you can meet. There are new customers. So if you want to be growing that business, you have to be reaching out to new people. And then I get this one. And honestly, even though I love social media, I have a love-hate. Social media is irritating. Yes, it is. Social media is irritating. It's changing all the time. People say things on social media that they wouldn't say to your face. There are trolls. I just had a reel go viral. Actually, my husband was in it. And there are many comments that I just smile and wave, boys. Like I just skip right over them and I don't even respond. But you can control the tone and culture of your social media pages. You can set privacy settings. You can set security. All of these things are in your pocket. So just know that even though social media can be irritating, you can set up an experience for your followers that is the complete opposite. You have all the control to do that. All right. So creating consistency. That is the only tip that all social media experts agree upon. It's the only one. They are consistent on that tip. And I'm going to add being conveniently consistent, meaning that it works for your schedule, it works for your lifestyle, it works for your business. But what if we considered that simply showing up consistently on social media was a success? Like, what if we looked at success as being, I showed up today? I'm loving that. So let's talk about a couple of ways that you could be consistent. And again, I'm not going to load you down with so much content that you walk away going, I don't know where to start. If I do my job correctly, you're going to walk away, you're going to get a nice little download from us, and you're going to have a plan in front of you that you're going to look at and go, that I can do. So that's my goal. So first of all, consistency, posting to the grid. I'm talking about Instagram here. And if you post to the grid, it can go to Facebook as well. So think about different ways that you can post to your grid. There are pictures, which are once again becoming hot over reels, over video. Video was the thing. So there's pictures, there's carousels, there's reels. So we could do a whole lunch and learn on what your grid should or could look like. But for now, just focus on posting to that grid a minimum of 3 times a week. Now, the other thing that experts will agree upon is that 3 times is a little too low. But my goal today is just for you to show up in the space consistently. Or consistently. Yeah, that word. So it's the same thing in fitness. I'm not going to have you go out and take an hour-long class. I'm going to say, how about 10 or 20 minute walk? So at least 3 times a week. You can't expect to post 1 time a week and for people to remember that you're there. And if you saw BDG's Instagram page and Facebook page, we posted about this event 4 times. You're not bothering people if you post more than 1 time a week. So think about that. You want them to come back. You can't just show up once. Stories, let's go on to number 2. Stories are such an untapped tool. I am loving stories right now. They help you to stay top of mind for people who follow you. People love seeing behind the scenes. They know what you do for a living, but they kind of want to see you going, oh, I needed this coffee today. I mean, as silly as it is, they want to see that. So by simply sharing your grid post over to your stories, you've already, and then maybe putting something on it saying, hey, go read more about this over on my grid. You've already connected with them in a space that's really easy for them to follow because they're just swiping and watching. So think about your stories as being an untapped resource for you to build consistency with the people who follow you. The third one is add to those stories throughout the day. So I once heard a tip that you never want your stories to die. Stories disappear every 24 hours. And I thought that's a lot of pressure, a lot of pressure. So how about 3 to 5 stories a day? Throughout the day, just adding to that story at the most 5 times and then giving yourself a pat on the back for doing that. If they're following you, they really like you. They really do want to know more. And so while this is a consistency tool, this is also a connection tool. But again, I'm going to say it for the third time because we say things in 3 times in theater. Stories are an untapped tool for consistency and connection. Okay. 4. So your grid posts have a shelf life. That means if a week after you posted something, you realize someone commented and you go on to comment, that's great. And that person will really appreciate that. But your post by that point is dead. I know it sounds like really extreme language, but if you want to grow in reach, meaning you want to reach new people, you want to be you want to reach new people, you have to make sure that you're engaging with folks who show up on your page when they show up or within 1 to 2 hours. I know that sounds crazy, but I think the number is 90 minutes later. If there has not been a back and forth, or you haven't put emojis, even just an emoji on something that someone has commented on, that post is now behind and dead. So one of the reasons why I have a viral post right now is because people just consistently keep leaving comments. Like, it's insane. I feel like it's never going to end. Social media is irritating. But at the same time, for you, if you have people comment when you put that post up, you got to be there to respond to them, and you can't do it a week later. So just know that. And then the more engagement, the more reach. And that's kind of social media 201. The last consistency suggestion I have is to find businesses that are similar to yours and engage with them. Tell them they're doing a good job. Add an emoji, give them some applause, comment, because your reach is only going to grow as you engage with others. Okay. Going down to connections. And of course, we're already at 12:20. Did you see that, Cass? So let's talk about connections. Here's one that I see a lot, and you're missing out on such an opportunity. Links do not work on Instagram posts. People can't copy and paste them. They can't click them. They would have to literally write them down and retype them. So they do work on Facebook, obviously. But if you really want to connect with an audience who follow you and support you, and then translate that into sales, you got to use your stories and add links in your stories. Links and stories are live. So if I put a link up to BDG and you clicked it, you're right on that site. If I put it on the grid, you're clicking it and it's doing nothing. So take that tip away right now. Utilize your stories to share and to sell. Secondly, use the stickers. There are poll stickers. There are question stickers. Get your followers to respond to you. Get your followers to answer a question. Engagement. That's the social part. That's the connection part of social media that we've kind of lost because we're so concerned about, did I get enough likes? Are people seeing this? Like all of those things that we're so concerned about, but yet we're not connecting because we're so concerned about those things. So use questions, use polls, use stickers, make it fun. Captions. Here's your third connection. There are people who cannot hear your videos. There are people who are in coffee shops who maybe have their phone open who don't have the sound up. They can't hear your stories. So if you're a talking head and you're not using captions, they're just going to slide on through. It's very easy to use captions in stories. So make sure that you're being accessible to those who cannot, they legitimately cannot hear you, and those who are in busy spaces who do not have their sound up, and maybe they don't have headphones with them. Add captions to your videos in order to connect. Fourth, DMs. I can't tell you how many times in order to highlight someone on social media, I have sent them a DM and it never got opened. So even though you may have a website and an email address, a lot of people are going to DM you. And so I want to remind you to please check your DMs, especially that primary box, that general box. And then there's that other box. That box can get a little scary. So if you want to just hide, like open it and hide it quickly, you never know what you're going to find in that box. But you do have to check your DMs at least once a day and connect with folks who are trying to connect with you there. And then the last one is to collaborate. This is so hot. And this is, I sound like, when I say this is so hot, I sound like a Kardashian. I don't mean to do that. Collaboration is amazing. You may notice now that when you put up a post and you want to tag someone, it now says tag to collaborate. So let's just say tag to collab. If they agree to that, your post shows up on 2 pages, theirs and yours. What a great way to show collaboration and to also build up 2 spaces at the same time. So make sure that you are creating posts where you can tag businesses either in your stories or even on your grid. And let's show love to other businesses that way. We've been experimenting with it and we have just loved the results. So if you still, I didn't even move that slide, did I? Look at that. There we go. There, make the most of the connections, all the connections that I just shared with you. This is like a running monologue. All right. If you still need help, if your business is legit simply too busy for any of this, congratulations. That is a great thing. You might need some extra help. And here are some ways that you can get some extra help. So
hey guys, thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. Let me do that. Yeah, I'll go over this one.
No, do this one first.
I'll snag you. So we wrote pre-written content probably over the course of a full year. And so how would pre-written content help you to personalize your social media? So we have 2 ways that we can do that with Burkish Design. And one of them is the Small Business Content Club. And that is 12 months of pre-written content. I don't even remember how many posts we wrote, but furiously writing. And we created all this content that would be right in your hands.
It's 52 posts. It's 52 posts every month. So you could legitimately use it for 2 years. Yeah.
That was a busy year. That was a very busy year. The second thing we do, and I'm very careful on how I describe this, we are content creators for businesses. It's a little bit different than having a social media manager. That would be someone who's getting everything scheduled for you. They're probably responding to DMs. They're probably responding to contents, to comments and such. We are actually creating content for several of our clients. We work with them on what needs to be posted. We work together on that. We do schedule for some of them, and then for some we don't schedule for them, and then they take it from there. So those are 2 ways that Burkish Design helps in the social media landscape.
I was just really excited to give you guys a coupon. So just for coming here today, we are offering $50 off 3 of the packages that I think would work really well with social media. The first one is strategy sessions. And Anne-Marie, if you're still here, we had a strategy session last week. And the cool part about those is you can just come to us with any old problem you have, and we will just discuss that problem. We'll go out with a plan. You'll have a direction going forward, and they're just one-offs. You don't have to buy an entire marketing package or work with us for a year. It's literally 2 hours, and you get a report, and we're done. So it's really simple. Of course, we have our visual branding toolkit, which we think works really well with social media, because sometimes you have a logo, and that's all you have. And the logo is awesome. But you really need, and our lead designer, Matt, is here. You really need those patterns. You really need that full color palette. You need all of those components that go really well with your brand to kind of round out the entire brand, because your logo is just your logo. You need a full brand. And then Content Club, as Jolene said, $50 off until I believe it's Monday. We gave you guys a long weekend to think about it. That's all awesome. I have. I'm going to hit it. Yeah, go
I'm
ahead, go,
actually going to
Jolene.
be nice. I'm going to go back to the slide so people can like take a screenshot of it if they need to. But I also want to share that we did take some questions from you guys and we're willing to take some questions, but I know that I've already been long winded. So if you need to go, we completely understand that, but we are going to stay on a little longer so that I can respond to some questions that came in. And then if you do want to share a question, you can certainly do that. But the other thing I want to share before we leave is that these lunch and learns are for you. So if there is something specific, like in the social media landscape, I can answer that. But if there's something specific you want to learn about, we could build a lunch and learn on that. If there's something outside of social media, because you're like, honey, stop talking about social media, we could totally build a lunch and learn for that as well, using some of the BDG team in order to share those for you. So we want to know, and we want you to tell us what you would like to learn about in the future. What would be
Yeah, and
helpful
that's so
for you?
important because I've talked to a lot of you guys one-on-one, and my door's always open. So seriously, send me an email. I'm Cassie at Burkich Design, and let me know what you guys want to talk about, because at the very least, it helps us know what is on our client's mind. So we totally will have those conversations with you guys. So we did get a few questions in advance, and just to be mindful of everyone's time, again, stay, please, if you can, but if you can't, we totally get it. So I'm going to go and read them to you in order of receiving them. So Andrea says, how important is the use of hashtags?
So hashtags are definitely still a thing, but the old adage of you have to have 28 hashtags for every post, that was literally what it was back in 2020 and even 2021. That's no longer the case because it's shifted more towards the use of keywords. So when you're writing a post, what I normally try to do is a hook line, and then maybe one or two more lines of text, and within those text keywords. So like for you, Andrea, if you were doing a post about yoga, surprise. But if you wanted to make it specific about yin yoga, you would make sure yin yoga is in that text, or restoration or breathing technique. So you really want to pull keywords into your actual content. And then sure, you could use 8 or 10 relevant hashtags at the end as well. But the majority of folks that I follow are saying, don't freak out over hashtags. Whereas we used to do a whole training on hashtags and it was intense, and it's no longer applicable. There you go.
The internet's getting smart, y'all. Said y'all again. Kim, you're there, right? Okay. I didn't want to interrupt when you were saying hello to someone. So I'm going to share, she had 2 questions, so I'm going to share them here. How do I know the best time of day and day of the week to make or schedule posts?
Okay. So that is a very debatable question. Okay. So you will have folks saying to follow exactly what your analytics are telling you. I can tell you that I have tested that and it's never worked. You also have folks that say between like right around that 9 o'clock hour, and then noon hour, and then dinner hour. That's kind of a traditional way. What I have found to work, and what I have found to be conveniently consistent is pretty early in the morning. So when I'm posting, even if it's scheduled, I'm posting around 6:30 a.m. So there are experts out there that will say, in your area, so we're in Beaver County right now, I want to hit people before they're really getting up and getting ready for work. It's that grabbing that phone and they're starting to get on the phone. But I'm going to take that a step further and say, if you're struggling with being consistent on social media, you simply need to begin with posting when you can. Yep. I know that sounds
consistent.
Like, what?
No, it makes it easier. I think they appreciate that.
It's funny because, like, again, I'll go back to the pottery studio. Their posts do great on Sunday, and there are definite articles out there that say Sunday's the worst day to post. Well, not for that company. So you just try it and track it and see. So
that's right. And a follow-up on that from Kim: how will I know when social media and or marketing are building my brand and bringing in more and new business?
Okay, so I mean, the simplest answer to that is, are you getting more sales? So, and maybe even when people do purchase something, asking, where did you find out about me? How did you find out about me? So that you can actually track where they learned about you. But I also think that engagement is a really good sign. If people are starting to show up in your space and leave comments, or leave emojis or leave hearts on your stories, you're finally reaching people. But ultimately what we want is quality followers to translate into consistent customers, right? So it's maybe hard to measure it up to the point where they click and purchase or they walk into your shop. And then I would ask them, how did you find me? So that's a good.
That's exactly what I would say. Tracking is so important. Measuring that is so important. You can definitely ask them, even if you see them every day, like, hey, I know you're here once a week, twice a week. What makes you come in? What do you find most, the best social media posts we put out there? What speaks to you? Because truly it's conversations like this that we're having right now that do that for us. We want to know what you guys are asking. We want to know how did you hear about us? And so for this particular thing, we only put this in social media and in a newsletter. So I pretty much know that I know where people are coming from because of the way that you guys signed up. So there's of course ways to strategize there as well. But ask us any questions you want, Kim. We're happy to follow up with that with a little bit more info. Okay, and I've got another one here from Molly, which I know you alluded to this, Jolene, and we can certainly put it in the email. But which gurus do you suggest following for social media?
Last night I meant to I have 3 very specific ones, and I was like, oh, I should really write these down, and so I can share them tomorrow. How about if we put that in an email? That way we can also share their links, and so that you're not fumbling around going, where's this name? So, and I will say this, all of the ones that I follow have, for lack of a better phrase, I'm sorry, I don't like this phrase. They have dummy accounts that they run to test things on. So they're not just influencers, for lack of a better word. They're people who are actually testing the waters through running several different accounts. So right after this call, I promise I will get those down so Cassie can put them in an email for you. Is that okay?
And I think when you say dummy accounts, I know that they're like somewhere between 10 and 20. So it's not just like they have a side account.
Yeah.
They're running like full-time jobs, running 20 different accounts just to use for testing, like not even for a real business, which is fascinating to me.
And that's exactly why I say follow the experts and don't try to become one. You don't have
and I almost interrupted you earlier, Jolene, because when you say social media changes daily, I mean, I think it's hourly sometimes, like from hour to hour, like, the whole thing can go down or it's back up. And like you said, you lose an account. So many different things that can happen. So trying to learn everything is out of reach. It's 100% out of reach unless you are a social media expert and that's all you do. And even Jolene, like she said, she's following experts to help round out her skills, because even though it's her full-time job, there's just so much to learn. So don't even try. It's too much.
It just contributes. It contributes to you being frustrated and then maybe not wanting to even be consistent, being like, I can't take it. You know what I mean? So yeah,
absolutely. And you'll hate it really quickly at that point. So many people tell us they don't like social media because they've been either burned or they've seen the ugliness and they haven't seen the good things because of lack of consistency or, just not knowing what to post or when to post and that kind of stuff. So it's really easy to get frustrated by it for sure. Right. Okay. And again, we'll stay here as long as you guys want to hear us talk, probably
I'm fine.
Till about 1. So
listen, I could talk about this all day.
Okay, fantastic. So you guys put your questions in the chat if you have anything more. And again, if you have to go, no worries. I have a few more from Molly, but if I don't hear from anyone else, I'm just going to go through hers. So we've got a question on B2B versus B2C strategies for social media. Do you have any comments on that, Jolene? And of course, there's marketing strategies that we can develop.
Yeah. I would say that is more of a marketing question. So
I think you need a strategy behind that, Molly. So a B2B strategy versus a B2C strategy and or both can work kind of hand in hand. And then having those silos of conversations spill over to your social media. It's not a social media question versus print marketing versus other digital marketing. It's got to be all cohesive at that point. But I think that, ultimately when you're talking to either B2B or B2C, you're talking to people. So I think that's
Absolutely.
the thing to remember, is that when you're selling B2B, you might be selling to someone in HR, but that person in HR still has an avatar, for lack of a better word. Who are these people that work in AR or HR? What are their, what age are they? What sex are they? All of those things like really, really come into play for any kind of marketing. So certainly they might not be as interactive on your social. They may not be as responsive and emojis and hearts and things like that, but getting to those particular people is really important, and making sure you're talking to the right people. And I think I was going to say, Jolene, earlier, that when you can see the small wins, and I think Jolene manages many accounts, and for our accounts, we have a difficult time getting engagement, to be completely honest, because we are B2B. And I think that is more difficult for engagement. And I think for me, a win is people that heart our stories. Like that, I've started to see more than anything else, where people are just hearting our stories, 2, 3. And so that, and again, those are just people in businesses. So it's all about talking to them the way they want to be talked to. And it just depends on what kind of business you're trying to reach out to. So it is a marketing strategy for sure. I'm going to go to one of Andrea's real quick. How important is having the posts and stories have a branded and similar look, colors, and feel? Matt, what do you want to say about that?
Well, hold up, Matt.
An exuberant yes.
So I'm going to say an exuberant no. So here's the deal. If you are a design company, I work for a design company, and then I work for, I'll use the pottery studio again. So when you're working for a design, can someone mute? Okay. I feel like I'm in an airport. Is that my flight? Okay. So if you are a graphic design studio or something that has to do with design, you have to be cohesive. And that's something I had to learn, because I came from a space of being more like entertaining, like entertainment and education all in one. But the look for, especially if you've gone over to BDG's page, which I think you have, you're going to see that it is very cohesive. Now, I'm not saying throw out branding altogether, but you don't want your page to veer so much from your branding that people are like, wait, what page am I on? It is edutainment, Molly Sargent. Yes,
I was just going to go in the chat and be like, Jolene's going to give you a gold star. That's like one of her favorite words, edutainment.
Anyway, so you need to take a look at your page. And if you're looking at your page like, you need to make note of that and go, that did not fit. That was like a square peg in a circle. So you don't have to be as cognizant of it as like we are at like BDG, but you do have to be aware of it. On stories, let it fly. Just get your stories up there. You do not have, stories should be the biggest time saver for you. You should be able to go, oh my God, look what I just got in the mail. Boom. Without going, now I need to put the teal and the this and just get the story out there.
Thanks, Kim, so much.
Sorry, Matt.
To keep you so long. What I was going to say is I'm not a middle child, but I'm going to play middle child because Matt and Jolene are going to fight after this. But I totally agree with both sides of the spectrum. And what I will say is that I tell a lot of our clients that if you aren't on brand, then it is like you are advertising two different businesses. So if you see something that's red, white, and blue, and then you see something that's teal and pink, and it doesn't even use the same fonts, or it doesn't even look like the same business, then you are wasting your time. It's like you're marketing two separate businesses, and your clients can tell. They don't know what it is, and they don't relate it back to you, which is the most important part. But I totally agree with what Jolene said. In stories, absolutely be yourself. In your grid, make everything cohesive, but not so matchy that it looks like a bland, kind of everything looks the same and it's just like one post, Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, it's okay. To that point, Cassie, you have to remember people are on their phone. And if they're going through a post, and let's say your colors are red, white, and blue. Let's just say they are. And suddenly there's green and pink. They don't know it's you. They go right on by. So, But things can become like the Charlie Brown teacher, where all of a sudden your grid looks exactly the same and all the posts look exactly the same. So just play with those colors.
Totally
And
agree. And you can tell this is a
yeah,
hot button issue even internally, because we are a bunch, there's a bunch of designers here, then there's a bunch of developers, then there's, people that are
yeah,
neither of those. So we fight about this all the time, but I think we do agree in that, basically that middle ground is where you need to be. You need it to be on brand so that you're not wasting your time and energy.
right.
And you're getting through to the customer without any questions. If they have to question it for a second, then you've lost them.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah.
Molly has one more question. I think that's the only one. Oh, there's two more actually. And Molly, I'm not going to answer the LinkedIn because Jolene is not a LinkedIn expert, but I'd be happy to answer that one with you another day. And then the other question was integrating blogs into social strategy.
Oh,
and I think
so good.
Yeah.
So we completely integrate blogs into social strategy at BDG. I don't work with any other clients that really have a blog. But one of the things that really helped us was to choose a day as blog day. And so if the blog is already up on the site, then the designers are creating graphics around that. And then we make sure that they fit on the Instagram grid. They're not cut off. And then we make sure that we market that blog, putting a little excerpt into the post, making sure that we're pulling people back to the website. This is where it can get a little tricky. When you put link in bio, your post doesn't get seen as much. I'm so sorry to say that. And I know everybody wants to get everybody back up to that bio. What you need to do is share that grid to the story and put the link in the story to your blog. There you go. But yeah, we definitely do that for BDG. And it's very easily doable. You just need to schedule when you would like to do those and make that a part of your plan.
And the cool part is you can use those over and over and over again. If you have a blog that you really like, that's a cornerstone blog, of course, I'm going to go on the website side of things right now. You can use that blog to link from different areas of your site to that blog, because Google really likes when you're clicking within your site, because what that says to Google is that this site is very valuable, not just this particular post, but this entire site. So from within this blog, I'm clicking out to other blogs and I'm staying on that site. Google really likes that. So same thing goes for social media. If you can use clips of that blog or pieces of that blog and supporting facts, supporting downloadables, things like that, then you can use that in social media over and over again, not just one time. I don't think we have any other questions. Let me see here. Any other questions?
I could seriously just make lunch and just sit here.
Well, I don't know why you didn't make lunch already.
Because I was at yoga. Remember, from the waist down, I'm still at yoga class. So.
Oh my gosh. I think, and Andrea, since nobody has a question, I'll expand on what I was talking about in the chat. That sounded real sales pitchy of me. But truly, when people come to us and they're like, I have a logo, and you have a really specific brand, you just may not have it kind of written down, but when you have those different patterns, different colors, and you don't want just, you want 2 or 3 solid ones, but you want to have a palette that's like maybe 5 to 6 colors that you can kind of rely on. Maybe some icons, maybe some stock photos, stock and branded photos, of course, that you kind of go to. They're like the go-to. So you feel like, maybe it's a border, maybe it's an overlay, something that would give your pictures and your photos a little bit of jazz that would feel more on brand for you. Another tip actually is if you go to unsplash.com, which is free stock photography, but it doesn't look like stock photography because it's submitted by, real people, not that other people aren't real. And same with Adobe stock and things like that. You can actually search by your hex color. So the color in your palette, use that when you're searching for photos. So you might find something, Andrea, that's one of your main colors is like a greenish, right? So like in purple, I think, right? See, I know your brand. And so you might want to search by those colors. And if you don't have hex colors, you can match them with an eyedropper tool on the on a website. So you can just find that out. But search by those colors and you'll see. And then obviously the word yoga or the word self-care or something like that, or outdoors or nature. And then you're going to pull in images that look like your colors. And if Amy was here, Amy Schaefer is still on maternity leave. She's one of our designers. She swears by filters. So she swears by pulling all photos into a filter app on your phone, which you can download for free, creating a filter or using one that's already created for you, and then running all your photos through that, so that all of them have the same color, like lighting kind of feel, based on what your brand choice. So she swears by that. She gets real mad when we don't do that. Love you, Amy, but she does. So we run them through our filter, and it gives it kind of like, kind of the colors are a little bit more matched to our brand.
But I am going to say, if that is stopping you from posting, just start posting.
Yeah, true story.
And you can always fall into the other stuff, but the hardest part is just getting started. You post all the time. Okay.
Andrea, do you have a specific question? What kind of frustrations are you having? I feel
let it out. Let's talk.
Who, me? No, I don't have specific questions. I just, I'm not always the most professional in my posts, and that's why I ask. And that's why I feel like I maybe need to up my game a little bit and make it look a little more matchy, or maybe a little bit more,
Hold up.
Everybody go to Sangha Wellness, Yoga and Wellness. So Andrea, if I could say you are a specific, everyone needs their own, solid marketing plan, but you are a yoga studio and people love you. So I think it's okay. If not, I need to see your face more. That's my first comment. It's okay.
May I say something?
Encourage that your face is on here more, because people love you.
Because when I look at Instagram, especially videos of people doing poses and doing all that stuff, I feel like it's showing off, and I'm trying to veer away from that. But I totally get it, because when I put pictures of the teachers on, we get much higher likes.
Because right now it's a lot of text.
Yeah.
So
and there.
Go ahead.
I don't think that I understand what you're saying about videos of people performing yoga. Like, I get that, because I'm in fitness and I put videos up of my classes all the time. So I totally get it. But maybe even just some photos, and asking some of your members if they're okay having a photo done, and maybe just a quote about why they're there, like why they show up all the time. Because
I'll do it.
I'm in. It's like, I know your space. But there has to, I hate to get, this is like very marketing related, but it's like, there has to be a pain point. Like, why does someone want to come? And not that you don't want to be manipulative, but I came to you because of literal pain point, you know? So like, to share stories like that, that people can connect to and go, oh my God, I'm that person too. That's what I would say you need.
And I think acupuncture has that in common as well. It's like, people have tried everything, and then they came to you and they got success. Or acupuncture is kind of a similar story, where it's one of those things where if people don't know yoga or acupuncture, they're not going there. But when they do, they see success. And Andrea, I think just having taken many classes with you, I know what you're like in class, and you are not stuffy. You are not stuck up. You are not taking yourself too seriously. So share that. Like, I can picture you in my head doing a pose, and I never look at you and think, oh my gosh, she's showing off. I always look at you and think, like, she is not taking herself seriously. She's just worked really hard to get where she is. So I think that can come across really, really good. Even if you show yourself failing, like, do a tree pose and waver a little, like, be real, because I get you through and through. And I even tell, like, my daughter, when she came to class with me, I'm like, hey, wait till you hear Andrea's playlist. They're not like solid stuffy yoga playlists. Like, everything about you is you're a real life person that people would want to have a beer with. Right. So like, show that, because that's honestly, being yourself is the easiest way to market, and you just have to be yourself. And that's the only thing I think we're not seeing. So it should be easy to market, because you just have to be yourself. If that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Okay. Is there any other questions that I don't think I have any ones that I missed. I'm going to check one more time. In the meantime, if there's anything you think of, just throw it in the chat. think we got all the ones, even the duplicates. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Does anyone else have any other questions? Anything else you want us to talk about? Because we can talk, just give us a topic.
Honestly, we'll give you advice right now if you want it. Like,
Yeah.
I tell you, we really love talking about this. I remember my dad, oh, you're always on that phone. Well, look at me now, Dad.
I can look back at and Melissa, you went to school with me. I think you're younger, right? But every report card, she talks too much. Well, Cassie talks too much. Well, guess what? I got a lot of practice and now I'm good. Oh, I wish I'd hear that from my daughter. She doesn't talk enough. Take up space, people. All right. Well, I think that is it. I don't see any other questions coming in. I really super appreciate all of your time. And again, I'm going to send up a follow email with the recording and with those resources that Jolene talked about, along with the downloadable. So you'll be able to download that that PDF that she was talking about, which Matt so nicely put together for us. So thank you, Matt. And then in that, there will be also a survey, just a quick, what would you like us to talk about next time? So just throw something in there, anything that we didn't get to talk about or anything that you, that's completely unrelated to social media, just throw it in there and we will be happy to consider it. Thanks, Jolene. You are awesome. And you're all awesome for having lunch with us.
Look at Dominique. She's like giving me the head. Woo! Okay.
Only Jolene and I can see all you people dancing. So it's fun for us. Dominique is dancing. Thank you guys so much. Holler if you need us. We are here for you. Have a great day.